All right, guys. So we've established that scarcity drives economics and that supply and demand is the mechanism markets use to manage it. Now let's zoom in. You're a business owner. You're not setting the laws of supply and demand. You are navigating them. And that means you need a different set of tools. 3 questions every business has to answer. When does growing make you more efficient? When does expanding your product line make you cheaper to run? And how much should you actually produce at any given moment? Economies of scale, economies of scope, and marginal analysis. Let's build each one. Economies of scale mean that as you produce more, your cost per unit goes down. And that's not magic, it's math, combined with a few structural advantages that kick in at a volume. Think about a small bakery. If you're baking 10 loaves a day, your rent, your mixer, your oven, these fixed costs are spread across 10 loaves. That's expensive per loaf. Scale up to 1,000 loaves a day and those same fixed costs spread across 1,000 units. Cost per loaf drops drastically. On top of that, at volume, you get bulk purchasing power. Your flour supplier gives you a better rate per pound, your packaging costs drop, and your team gets faster. Specialization kicks in. One person handles mixing, one handles shaping, one handles the oven. Each person gets better at their specific job. This is why large companies can often undercut small ones on price and still make money. It's not always ruthlessness, it's often just math. But here's the part the scale conversation often skips. The U-curve has a right side. At some point, getting bigger stops reducing costs and starts increasing them. These are called diseconomies of scale. Also, I think my cat wants to join. Hi, Leaf. We'll continue. When a company grows too large, coordination becomes expensive. You need more managers to manage the managers. Communication slows down. Decision-making gets bureaucratic. Culture is harder to maintain. The very size that gave you efficiency advantages starts working against you. The sweet spot, the bottom of that U, is called minimum efficient scale, or MES for short. It's where you're big enough to capture the cost advantages of scale, but not so big that complexity eats them back up. Every business has one. It's different for a bakery, a software company, and a hospital, but it exists for all of them. Now, let's move on to this idea of economies of scope. Economies of scope is related to scale, but it's distinct, and it's the one business owners underestimate most. Scale is about producing more of the same thing more cheaply. Scope, however, is about producing different things together more cheaply than you could separately. It's the logic behind diversification that actually makes financial sense. Picture a restaurant. You have a kitchen, trained staff, food suppliers, and health permits. Those are expensive resources. Now you add catering operation, you're not doubling your costs. You're using the same kitchen during off hours, the same staff on different days, the same supplier relationships. Your second revenue stream costs far less to run than it would if you built it from scratch. That's economies of scope. Shared inputs, multiple outputs, but lower combined cost. This distinction matters. If someone tells you to scale your business, they mean do more of the same thing more efficiently. If the opportunity is to expand into adjacent products or services using what you already have, that's scope. It's a different strategy, and it's entirely different math. Now, the third question that every business owner needs to ask, how much should you produce at any given moment? This is where marginal analysis comes in, and it's one of the most practically useful ideas in all of economics. Marginal means one more. Marginal revenue is what you earn from selling one more unit. Marginal cost is what it costs you to produce one more unit. And the profit maximizing rule, it's deceptively simple. Keep producing as long as each additional unit brings in more than it costs to make. Stop when marginal revenue equals marginal cost. Never produce a unit where cost exceeds revenue. Now, let's make this concrete. Say each unit you sell brings in $10. Your first unit costs $3 to make. you're adding $7 to profit. Second unit costs $5, you're adding $5. Third costs $8, still adding $2. Fourth costs exactly $10. You're breaking even on that unit, which means you've hit your profit maximizing output. Fifth unit costs $14, now you're losing $4 on every unit you make beyond this point. This is why airlines sell last-minute seats for $89 when the ticket originally cost $400. The plane is flying regardless. That seat's fixed costs are already covered. The marginal cost of adding one more passenger is almost nothing. Any revenue above that marginal cost adds to profit. It's why software companies can add users at near zero cost. It's why restaurants offer happy hour when the kitchen is already staffed and idle. MR equals MC. This formula? They're using it. They're just finding the efficient output at every single price point. So, let's bring this back to where we started in the last episode. Economics exists because of scarcity. Unlimited wants, limited resources. Markets use supply and demand to manage that tension through price. And businesses navigate those markets using tools like economies of scale, economies of scope, and marginal analysis. These aren't abstract concepts. They're the logic behind every pricing decision, every growth strategy, and every production call a business makes. Once you can see them, you start seeing them everywhere. In the next video, we're going deeper into supply and demand, specifically what causes the curves to shift, and what that means for prices, business strategy, and market timing. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.